Hello friends, welcome to my channel Go Digit. Uh, Today in this video we will understand about these three commands of the Business Central through which we can not only publish our extension but also we can install our extension in the particular server instance of the Business Central. Okay, so ideally, these three commands we can run directly from the Visual Studio Code itself. Like whenever we finish up creating any extension, and then we can deploy our extension through by pressing F5 or Control F5. So what it will done is that in the backend itself, it runs all these three commands only, right? So initially first it runs the publish, then it synchronize your app, then it install the nav app or upgrade the nav app based on which version of your extension you are working with. Okay, but as we know that from the Microsoft itself, this is not something which is very much recommended that you should directly deploy your extension from Visual Studio Code itself. Okay, so ideally, in ideal scenarios, in production environment, you should always follow these three commands whenever you want to deploy your extension in the database. Okay, so we will see one by one that how we should run it and in which sequence we should run these command and what changes it actually does in your database. So for example, the very first command which you should run after your development is completed and testing is completed. So the first command is publish nav app. Okay, and as you can see that I have mentioned here application database. So this means that when you run this command, it will not installed in your Business Central version. Okay, and you will not be able to see any changes in the web client itself. But it definitely changes whatever you have write down in the code of your particular extension in the application database. Okay, so it will not make any changes in your tenant database. Okay, for example, if you're running a multi-tenant environment where we all know that application database is always very much common, but tenant databases are different one. Okay, so when you run this command, it will make the changes in the application database only. But after this command, we will run the sync nav app. So when we run the sync nav app, it actually reflect after you run this command, the changes will be reflected in your tenant database. But please mind that it will all be done at database level. These the changes will not get reflect in your web client. Okay, so what this sync nav app command does is that it actually synchronizes the schema from the application database to the tenant database. Okay, so we will when we run this command, we will see that what changes are done at the database level. Okay, so after you run this command, then of course the last command is if you are working or if you're deploying your extension for the first time, then you should run this install nav app. Okay, so this command runs at company or at a tenant level. Okay, so for example, your tenant database is having multiple companies, so you can run this command per company wise. Okay, and if you are having only one company, then that's why I have written here that it can be run at the tenant level. Okay, now if your extension is already deployed and you are making further changes in it and deploying it against with the new version, so in that scenario, you should run the sync or start nav app data upgrade. Okay, so that means it tells the system that you are upgrading it. And of course, when you run install nav app, it runs the install code unit. Okay, and when you run this command, it will run the upgrade code unit. And now for those who do not know like what is install and what is upgrade type of code units, so you can I have already made a video of it and you can check that out in the video section. And with this, I would like to request you that if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Okay, so now we have understood the concept of these commands. So let's see and run these command one by one for one of the extension which I've already developed. Okay, so as you can see, this is my project called AL Project 5, and here what I did is that I have extended the standard table called sales and receivable setup and added one field called test sync. All right. Now, also I have added a page uh, or extended a page of the sales and receivable setup and added my field after the exact cost reversing mandatory. All right. So these two objects I have made in this project, and already I have created a package of it. So as you can see, this is my package. So this extension I have not deployed right now via Visual Studio Code. Okay, so now let's uh, deploy this extension from Visual Studio Code. Okay, so the first command is publish nav app. Okay, so let's provide the server instance that on which instance I would like to deploy this extension. Okay, so I've mentioned that this is my server instance where I want to deploy it. All right, now either you can type the further parameter of like where your package is. If you do not know that parameter, you can press enter. It will ask you the path of the package where your app is available. So here in my case, this is my package. So what I can do is that I can select that, press shift and right click, and then this option will come, copy as path, click on it and go to the administration shell, press Ctrl V, remove these codes and press enter. So as you can see, it gives me an error that you cannot publish an extension that has not been code signed. Okay, to overrule this check and publish the unsigned extension, set the skip verification parameter. So guys, what is signed extension, what is unsigned extension, and how we can sign our extension? For all these things, I have already made a video and you can check it out my video there. I can also add the link of that video in the in the description box. So this is very much essential, guys. Like whenever you are deploying any extension, your extension should be code signed. Okay, but for now, because it is my testing environment only, so I will go with the unsigned extension, and to do that, I can add this uh, parameter also. So let's do this again. Now s- I can add this parameter also, the skip verification. Press enter, press the path, and now enter. Okay, so system has successfully published the extension in the business central. So if you would like to see it, that where it actually published, so you can go to the extension management and you can see that my project or extension is currently available, but it is not installed. So it is not installed means that visually you cannot see any changes here. If I go in the sales and receivable setup, you cannot see anything here. Okay, my field is not available. And now if you open your SQL database, so guys, here is a catch. Like for example, if you're running a multi-tenant environment, then as I mentioned that this command actually make the changes in the application database. So your changes will get reflect in your application database. Okay, So now let's what we can do is that after we have run this command, the second command is sync nav app. So let's run it and see what how it actually synchronize the schema changes from the application database to tenant database. So sync nav app server instance BC190. Okay, and of course you have to give the name of your app for which you want to synchronize. So my app name is AL Project 5. We can see from here also, go to the extension management, and this is the name of my extension. So uh, I'm typing the name here. Okay, and also as we mentioned here that this command actually runs at the tenant database level. So if you are having the multiple tenant environment, then you can also mention your tenant environment. Okay, the name of your tenant. Okay, but in our case, it is all same, so I do not need to explicitly define that. Now press enter and it's done. So now let's see what synchronization or the what schema changes it done at the database level. Okay, so if you reconnect to it, go to the database, open the table, and now let's search for the sales and receivables setup. Okay, here it is. So as you can see, there are two tables available now of the same sales and receivable setup. Okay, now if you open the first one, it is having the standard fields, okay, of the base table, all the standard fields. But if you open the second one, and you can see that only your field, your changes are available, and of course with the primary key itself. So this means that uh, system did not make any changes in the base table, but of course it created a table extension by having a reference of the original table, and then added your custom fields here. So this is the changes which are done at the database level. But if you open the Business Central, then you will find that the extension is still not installed. And if you go to the sales and receivable setup page, there also you will not be able to see any changes. Like your field is still not being available in the extension itself. Okay, so I think it's got hanged. We will see it that whether our field is still available or not there. So, okay, here it is. To type sales and receivable setup, and as you can see, no field is available here because the extension is still not installed. Okay, so now then the last command is install nav app, because this is my this my extension is first time. Its version is as you can see from the app.json, it's 1.0.0. It's this is my initial version, so that is why I should run the install nav app. Okay, like if you have already deployed your app, then this means that you should not run this install nav app command, but you should run the start nav app data upgrade. Okay, so install nav app, and of course this command when you runs now, it will also reflect the changes in the web client, but it will also run the install code unit. Like if any install code unit you have added here to prepare the data in your extension once it's get installed. So you should add install code unit here, and this command also runs that install code unit. Okay, but in our case, it's there is no install coordinate available. So we should it will not run any install code unit, but yes, of course it will, the changes you will get to see at the page level. Okay, and of course if you do not know about install code unit and upgrade code unit, you can watch my video in the video section. Okay, so now let's run this command by typing server instance name, and of course provide the name of your app against which you want to run this command, and that's it. Run it, and now it will install your app, and that's it. It runs successfully. Now if you want to see, you can of course go to the extension management first, and here you can see it's get installed now. And if I go to the sales and receivable setup page, then we will see that whether my new field is becomes a part of the sales and receivable setup page or not. Okay, of course it has not done any changes in the schema wise, but if you have any install code unit, then of course it will install or modify the data in your particular field or whatever code you have write down in your install code unit. So let's open the sales and receivable setup page, and as you can see our new field is showing here. So this is what actually these command runs or make changes in the database and in the web client. Okay, if like because now my extension is successfully installed, and if in the future if I make any changes in this particular app, so the very first thing is that I should have to increment the version of this app. Then if I deploy this extension again using these steps, then the first step will be publish nav app, second step will be sync nav app, but the third step will not be install nav app, it will be the start nav app data upgrade. Okay, so this is how we run these commands, and what these command actually done at the database level. We have already seen this in this video. So guys, that's all with this in this video itself. And of course, uh, if you like this video, I request you to please hit the like button and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video.